SME Heartbeats is more than a podcast. It's a mission to spotlight the unsung champions of our global village. Together, we'll explore their challenges, celebrate their triumphs, and learn from their journeys. I'm so happy and excited that we're going to sit here and talk about lead generation and the industry and what makes you so fabulous at what you do. But before we do that, I would love if you would just introduce yourself to everybody.
For sure. Thank you, Sanka, so much for having me today here. I'm super excited to, have a good discussion about it, and hopefully that the listeners also learn something and can apply in their own approach. My name is Gabi. Everyone calls me Gabi, but I'm Gabija Adele. I'm from Lithuania originally. I used to be a professional athlete for 14 years, still hold the Lithuanian record in finswimming. I lived in 4 countries. This is my third startup, and I'm the founder and CEO of Capital Boost, which is an outsourced sales agency. And we mainly work with tech and SaaS founders, as well as recently introduced a new service that we work only with individuals like consultants who want to enhance their LinkedIn outreach. And what makes us a bit different than everyone is that we employ a lot of AI tools in our day-to-day processes and help clients, to maximize the reach and the results on their outreach end. So super pumped to, unpack all of this and talk more further about it.
So let's start with you, right? So we touched a little bit about you and what you've accomplished. Can you go into a little bit more detail about your journey and what brought you from these other 3 companies into the company that you have now and how you're helping people?
Of course, of course. So I was always interested about entrepreneurship. I tried corporates before. I worked at Ernst and Young. It didn't work for me. I'm not a corporate person, but I learned that quite early on in my career. My first business was in e-commerce. I was selling posture correctors for people who were working from home during Corona time. My second business, yes, my second business was a digital marketing agency, but I was not experienced enough. Quite open about it. It was just not working. Like my approach was not working. Then I gained some experience and worked with super cool individuals in the industry, and it led me to open my business Capital Boost. Actually, it was inspired by my mentor, who is Forbes 30 under 30, and that's one of the goals I have as well, to become one. And he was like, "Look, you're good at sales. Like you are doing really well in it. You should help people to do the same." So that's how I ended up opening and launching the business. It's now been 8 months that business is operating. I'm getting a lot of traction, and I'm super curious where it's gonna go further. So that's where I am at my journey in terms of the business. It's scaling. It's scaling, but I don't want to like scale too fast and too much and then be like, all over the place. I want to like do
Yes.
it very strategically this time. So step by step, but we're getting there.
The people that you help, are there some common, I guess, themes, stages that you find that your clients are at when you meet them? And then maybe talk to us about how you meet them where they're at and get them to where they want to go.
Yes, for sure. So what happens that startups they receive investment. If it's let's talk about technology products, technology, SaaS, AI, right? Most of the time you cannot do it from your own capital. You need some investment. So when you get investment as a startup, you hire so many programmers, engineers, and really try to build their product. I've seen so many companies that are so stuck on the product development and adding more features, adding this and adding that. And then investors come and they're like, so where is our MRR? Like why is it like not selling? Like you keep building it, but you forget that the most important thing, well, one of the most important things is to sell the product, right? And then a lot of founders, they're so busy in their day to day, like putting so many different hats in their own businesses, that they just don't have the capacity to do this cold outreach, which is super important, especially for tech and SaaS startups. So that's where when I come in. When they need external help, I don't come in when they have already all the processes ready. I'm not coming in their hyper growth phase. I help them to grow, because all of these automations that are available right now out there, right? LinkedIn automation, email automations, messaging, personalization, so on and so on, they only come in hand when it's strategic, and when the company is still not yet that much in the market, because then you can target so many people. You can send these like vast amount of messages and let's say promos of your business. But when you are really targeting a specific account, a specific company that you want to sell, it's different way of selling. So I
Very.
come Yes. So I come when you need to get a word out, when you need, customers ASAP, that's when I come in, because I am great at booking meetings with the right stakeholders. So that's when I come
Mm.
in,
The follow up is almost an art. Actually, no, it's not almost. It is an art because especially if it's not people who are like you, where it's your job, this is your craft, right? There's that sense of, I don't want people to feel like I'm spamming them.
Yeah.
And then there's the fact that I know we had discussed this previously, even my own LinkedIn and email, and it's starting to be my phone too, is just bombarded with so many people doing the same thing as what you've described, may, not as eloquently maybe. And so there's a part of us that almost has a visceral reaction. So you, as this being your craft, how do you try to get past all the noise that people like myself and other potential prospects are facing now?
Very, very good question. So I also get a lot of outreach messages on my LinkedIn, and most of them are so shit. Like, why?
Basically, why, to be
Yes,
polite about it, but that's actually, that's very true, and it's annoying because it's like, clearly you did not look at my profile. Why are
exactly.
you talking to me?
Exactly, exactly. And why is that? Because I don't understand how, but people don't understand that other people don't care about your product or your service. All they care about if you can solve them some specific problem. And if when you start focusing more on short messages, like short, literally 2 sentence messages, because we don't read more than that, right? Like super short
Not when
messages.
500,000 emails a day.
And they're long and nobody's reading them. Like, I don't know if you heard, but this Apple launched iPhone 16, and they're gonna summarize the emails for you in US. It's super
Love
cool,
that.
actually. Yeah,
I hope
but
they don't lose
coming
any more, but yes, the concept is very interesting.
it's cool. Yeah, of course it's gonna change my job a little now, but
But we already know that you adapt, right? So I'm gonna give you the anti-fragile badge and say you become better for the challenges you face.
yeah. But coming back to the outreach messaging, I keep telling my clients, and I keep telling my followers, because I'm quite active on LinkedIn as well. Um, you need to keep it short, and you need to be like a doctor to them, to prospects. What I mean by
Mm.
that is that you need to find what they are struggling with. You don't come to a doctor and doctor needs, and then doctor is just pitching his services. I'm the best doctor. I have this. They like doesn't work like that, right?
It's a bad sign if it is.
Yeah. When you come to a doctor, he's asking, what is hurting? Can I help you with it? Describe me a little bit more about your pain so I can help you. So
Yeah.
this is the same in sales or in outreach messaging. Like, tell me how you're doing this right now. Are you struggling with this? Because I can help you. When you change that, And the entire conversation shifts because people, as I said already, they don't care about your offerings, your value proposition, your mission statements, and so on and so on. So that's how I try to differentiate from other competitors in the market in this space.
It's interesting you talk about that because I know, so I don't know how it is in Prague, but I know here they years ago they started introducing like self-serve at the grocery store, right? So you don't need to go to the cashier. I still go to the cashier
Oh.
because I want a human being. So as you say where the direction will go, I think there's still a space for that human contact, right? So much of our lives have become automated,
Yeah.
right? When you call customer service for your phone or whatever it is, your utilities, what have you, everybody I speak to gets aggravated when they have to go through like all of that automation, when they just want to speak to somebody and tell them
Yeah.
what's wrong and have them fix it.
Yes, yes, yes. Like when you call, I just want to speak to a human. Like,
That
you know,
so as humans, I think there's always going to be that piece, right? That we're going to have to continue delivering, right? And I think it's important because human beings just by nature want to connect, at least to a minimal level with other human beings. But what you bring out is really interesting because how do you think that, what kind of a world could we really use the AI, use the technology to enhance? And where do you think, in your opinion, we really need to retain and honor that human kind of aspect?
yeah. I was just at a conference 2 days ago, in AI meetup in Prague, and that's exactly the topic they were touching upon. And that's super interesting, right? Like, how much do we still need to be like, will we be using AI in our day-to-day or processes, and where is the hard stop, right? I think in terms of strategy, in terms of creativity, we need humans, and like somebody needs to set up the systems, right? Like the robots and AI cannot still work for themselves, like by themselves. Maybe they will be, we'll never know. It's a big question in the market, big questions in the
Let's
business.
not do that. Let's not
Yeah,
do that.
yeah.
That could turn into those horror movies that we see that are so
Yeah.
popular now.
But in terms of productivity, like I use Chat GPT 4 every day. Like when it comes to just simple advice, when it comes to business advice, when it comes to brainstorming, I use it because I know if I don't, probably my competitors are. And then it puts me, and I love that, like the what we need to teach as well, young professionals and maybe people in school. Of course, this is a
Catchy?
education system is quite, yeah, we will see.
I think
But
it's a world. I think that is a global challenge right now.
exactly,
So I
exactly,
would agree.
exactly. But with ChatGPT 4 and with other AI systems, the better your prompt is, the better you ask the question, the better the answer. Like you cannot be asking super generic questions and expect a good answer. It's the same like in marketing, right? If you will be just
Yeah,
like, oh, write me a post about the fact that I launched my business, it's going to be super generic. The algorithms of the platforms are going to just kill it. But if you would say like, imagine you are the best marketing expert in the world and you just launched, like making this entire setting, then you get
yeah.
super cool outcome for it. So I'm very curious where AI is going to go. I'm currently reading a book, AI 2041, which is written, actually I have it here, Kai Fu
Mhm.
Lee and Shen
Oh, I know.
Qigong. Yeah, so I'm reading that book and it talks about like how it's gonna be, and it's quite scary actually. Like he was talking in the book that insurance is gonna be fully on by AI, and it can like track your daily habits. And let's say if you're a smoker, your insurance will be higher, and it will track like if you would have a cigarette, your points would go down. It's crazy. When I was reading, I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be like
I think as a human community, we're gonna have to make a choice. there's that fear. So I think there's a misunderstanding about AI, right? And that has created fear, because I attended an event yesterday,
Mhm.
and there was over 25%, which I find is a lot of people, who them and their company were not using AI in any way, in any form at all.
Oh my, okay, that's
And I
interesting.
was like,
Not even ChatGPT?
not even.
Oh my God, I
They're
cannot
still
like
using
imagine doing business without AI anymore. So
it.
it's interesting.
And I have AI, like I have shoes. I have this AI for this. I have this AI for that. I use different AI for different things every single day. And at the end of the day, the outcome is still me or the company, depending on who I'm representing in that moment. But we have people who are not even, we have people who are still trying to adopt industry 4.0, right? So forget 4 5.0, which is where we're at right now. So how do you think it's education and awareness? Do you think they're just going to miss out? And many of these are small to mid-market organizations, right? So they're destined, even if we don't even talk about lead generation, et cetera, they're destined to fail within 5 years, 50%.
Oh my God, but yeah, that's very interesting aspect you just touched upon. I agree with everything you said. Like that's super true. Like if they're not going to implement AI, they're going to be behind of the game. Like their business is just gonna fall behind because you have to, although it's maybe scary to adopt AI because of the lack of education there is, because there is lack of education. Like it's not gonna work for them. Like and that's quite sad. But
It,
on the end,
it's
at the end of the
dangerous.
day, yeah, at the end of the day, like if the market is moving towards AI and a lot of companies are moving towards AI, you don't really have a choice, do you? Like,
Most of our the people that we deal with, especially because trendsetting at work is focused on small to mid market, right?
mhm.
So as you said, they don't have huge salary, huge capital or huge revenue. And I will ask you this question because it's something that I've gotten quite often in the last month even.
Mhm.
So they have their startup. They may or may not have product market fit.
Mhm.
There are so many different priorities and hats that need to be worn by entrepreneurs and founders these days, right? Everything is important. Oftentimes they're guided to say, okay, well then sales, 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 sales. But as one person had told me, they said they're an engineer and they spend 80% of their time trying to market,
Mm,
right? And the marketing to support the sales.
mhm.
So with people who may not have huge budgets, how do you think that they should get started so they can get to a point where they can call you?
I think first that's a good one actually. Another one.
I'm gonna have a little bell like that things every time. But
uh,
no, but it's actually it's just what people
yeah,
are saying to me in
yeah,
the everyday
yeah.
engagements.
Then I would suggest to find networking events in your area and go to them. Print business cards, really physical ones, not these QR codes, whatever. Really your business card. Try to connect with as much people as possible over there. Try to sign a client from networking event. Then if you
Mm,
don't know how AI works, if you are not that good in marketing, be transparent. Look, I'm just starting out. I like giving you like 50% off because you would be like my first client. I would like give you so much attention and everything and would make you successful or whatever product they're selling, and try to then sign a client for networking events. It has helped me in the beginning. Then later on, what I found is that, and let's a little bit touch on that. Do you think it's important for founders to be in the content or no? Because I feel like people are not anymore that much following companies' pages, and they're now moving, and the marketing is moving more focused on founders marketing, kinda. At least that's what I'm seeing in the market as well.
I would absolutely say a resounding yes, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we've gotten to a place in the world where people are hungry for authenticity, right? And when you see the big business in a big business kind of way, talking about all the things they do, it doesn't feel genuine, right? It feels like a marketing company got together and decided this was going to be what we're going to talk about, and this is
Yeah.
what we're going to tell people we're going to do, and things like that. And there's I've said it on a different show. There's, I think her name is Anne Lappy, and she said every dollar we spend is a vote into the world we want to live in, right? And so now, with all the price gouging, the this and the that's happening, I think people want to know. I want to know who I'm buying from,
Yes. Yes.
right? I want to know who they are. I want to know if I like them, because people, and we talk a lot about decisions, and the decision making process, and the decisions we make are made emotionally. We like to say it's business decisions, right? Well, it's just business. It's never just business, not ever. It's always heavily dependent on the emotions, right? And the experience that we have as human beings. And so the more we get to know who the founder is, like even myself, what I write because I was inspired by a client who said this, and I thought, oh my gosh, other people need to know about this, or oh my gosh, people don't know this, or they need, or I feel like founders need like a boost of inspiration or motivation or courage and things like that. So when you, and I use myself just because I want to talk about other people. When you look through everything about me in my profile, that is exactly who I am in real life.
Yeah. And that's
Right. And
authenticity.
exactly. And just because you said it, someone wrote me today and said, I feel like I know you when I read your stuff. She said, literally, she said, I feel like I feel your energy.
That's awesome.
And I had to think about that, right? And I was like, I wonder why. And I said, because when I write it because I want to deliver a feeling to people. And I think, I mean, I'm not Elon Musk, but if when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm okay with who I see and what I'm kind of putting into the world, into the world. And
Yeah,
so
that's
I
awesome.
that was long winded. Sorry, but I
No,
agree with
that's
what you're
awesome. Yes, authenticity sells nowadays, and people lack connection. Like, look at TikTok; it's almost like a FaceTime call. It's so close
saying.
up, and it's this kind of videos. And I'm also curious where marketing is gonna go as well, because I'm also like really passionate about marketing area. It's super cool. Like the platforms that are developing, like there are like Veed.io, like you can post 7 minutes long or 2 hours long video, and they will cut it for you with AI in Reels. That's awesome.
Yes,
Saves so much time.
OpenStep too. Yes,
Yeah.
I have used them in the past as well, because I have this whole company to run
Yeah.
and build. So it's like I have a full time job. So tools like what you're saying, all of the tools that you're talking about are critical to our ability as founders, even with a team, right? Until we get to the point where we can hire out, like, our social media team, our lead generation team. But even then, I would say, just catalog, coming from what you just said, even if you have the team and you have people talking and making reels and lead generation, I think the founders still need to do a little bit of it themselves, because no one's going to talk about their business
Yeah.
like they will.
Yeah, and that's what was the big talk last week in Silicon Valley, and started this conversation about the founders mode. Yeah,
Hmm.
Yes, everyone was talking about it, like last week especially, and that means like the founder is kind of involved in every single aspect of the business. So yes,
Mm,
especially early on, it's super important. Then when you know you're an enterprise, then it's already different. But especially small to medium, yeah, yeah.
I think the founders mode. So it's like there's a critical point. There's a point at the beginning where you need to be more involved. One, just for budgetal reasons,
Mhm.
and two, because the company was in your mind, right? You're building out something that was created in your brain, so to speak. And so your team needs you to kind of help draw out what this company will be.
Yes, yes.
Some founders get stuck in founder mode. And it
Oh,
starts mental to the organization, right? When you've kind of made the vision clear, I think you need to kind of start taking steps back, because your time as a founder needs to be focused on other things to continue the growth and trajectory of your business. So I think you need to know when to step out,
yes.
not to overstay your welcome.
Yeah, when to let go and trust on the other professionals in the field that you hire that maybe know even more, because that's the idea of hiring. Like they take
Yeah.
off your plate because of the knowledge they have and the trust you give them. And that is sometimes very difficult for founders to do because they're like, it's my baby, I don't want to give it away. And then, you
Sure.
have to let go at some point. So,
Exactly. If you want your baby to grow and if you want your baby to be viable, you do need to step away and do something else.
yeah,
so,
exactly.
so what are the last things that you think, the most important takeaways that you think that potential founders should take away from your toolbox of knowledge?
Right.
And
Yeah. So I think the first, if you want to improve sales as a founder, identify which channels work for you best. If it's networking conferences, if it's email, if it's cold calling still, but I don't really believe in cold call anymore, but or LinkedIn, which I'm a really big advocate for. Evaluate who is your target persona, but evaluate as if you already have a client, let's say, like really analyze why they bought it from you and like why did they like signed with you, and then try to duplicate that as much as possible, because if you have already one client, that means there is a product market fit, and then you will get more. And identify your target persona in the sense of what they like, where they spend most time with, what they are struggling with the most, what is most on their plate, and try to really tap into their problems and offer your solution through their problems. If when it comes to automation, either reach out to me or follow me on LinkedIn. I always post quite a lot about outreach strategies, and try to automate it then if possible, and that your messages to the people would be short, concise, to the point, without long value proposition, without long words that don't matter. And remember that word is very, very strong, so pick your words correctly. And as last bit, be resilient. Don't take no for an answer. No is just people's way of defending themselves. And really try to, have a discipline, resilience, and belief that it's gonna work.
yes, awesome. And so if they want to get in touch with you, where's the best way to reach you?
So the best way would be on my LinkedIn. I'm always active there every day. It's like my Slack. Uh, Gabija Adele, or email, which is gabia at capitalboost.io.
Okay. And your website?
Yes, www.capitalboost.io.
Excellent. Well, it has been truly a pleasure to talk to you. This is a topic that we could just go on and on and on about, but we want to be respectful for your time because there are a lot of leads that you need to convert. And so maybe we'll do a reboot.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much for having me here. And I hope the listeners learned something valuable that they can apply to their day to day or just get inspired. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Take care.